very quickly.
Who wants to count me in?
Yeah, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so on 3, 2.
Fuck. See, you actually do that so professionally.
He nailed it. Yeah.
Good.
Very, very professional.
I'm just going to start at one point.
Let's do it.
I mean, like we normally do.
This is what we know.
This
Yeah,
is what we
yeah.
do. We
This
just
is like a normal show.
Can we do the iCarly theme? You know, the 5, 4, 3. I know you see.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
The world.
Well, that's a good place to start of ending
other.
other. Welcome to Story Mode, a video game podcast live from the REKT Gaming Network studios in Melbourne, Victoria. For the first time, we're all in the same room, or most of us. The ones that matter. Anyone else in Story Mode who's listening, get stuffed.
You had your opportunity and you blew it.
We're at 100% success rate here.
You're killing it now, okay? Well, got some introductions to make, because this could be the first time people are actually seeing us. So, I'm Jesse Munro. I'm the one with the lisp. To my left, from Perth, city of meth, city of dreams, we have Mr. Simon Evans. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. It's fun being here in person with you guys, finally.
It's different.
Yeah, definitely.
And to his left, from... Oh, I've got nothing to say about Queensland. From Queensland.
Kingsland now.
Yeah,
There's so
Queensland.
much to say about Queensland.
All right.
Oh, sorry, it did not change. No.
Felix Nichols, are you changing the name of Queensland to Kingsland?
Officially, with the power invested within me.
Is that confirmation that we've got here first?
Yeah.
Is that exclusive?
They pay us rights now.
Wow.
To
Brand new
Queensland.
breaking news.
World premiere, right here.
No, it's crazy.
World premiere.
It feels good to meet everybody in person and clarify that I am indeed the tallest out of all of us.
Yeah, I really didn't like when I first met you.
I had zero doubt that you were.
No, yeah. Neither did I, actually.
I had hopes. I had hopes that I was the tallest, but...
Nah, as soon as I saw Felix, I was like, yeah, that's definitely him. And one of the first things I said to him was, you were as tall as I was expecting. So.
And to my right, I'm gonna introduce you both as a bit of a package deal. The first time under the Story Mode Gaming umbrella, our brothers in arms from Dialogue Options, Kyran Morrison and John McDonald.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Hi.
Hi.
I'm already tired, but I'm ready for 3 days at PAX.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kyran's had to hang out with us for a few hours already this morning. He's like, oh, fuck. What have I done? That's very cool. Now, look, we did announce last night on social media, Dialogue Options, Story Mode Video Game Podcast. We're mixing it up. I mean, let's face it, we have you guys on every second episode.
Yeah.
Because we need people who know what the fuck they're talking about.
Is that us?
Apparently.
You've tricked us pretty well so
I'm
far.
so sorry.
Just keep rolling with
It's
it.
been
All right,
it's been,
Okay,
keep going.
All right.
We're in deep now, okay?
Going forward, you guys are going to be part of Story Mode Gaming. We have a bunch of different changes coming, but the most immediate one is we get to welcome these two handsome lads to the fam. Which is good. Welcome aboard.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Happy. You're buttering us up a lot, so something's got down, right? Something's going
Yeah.
down.
100%.
Well, the night is still young, gentlemen, so...
That's very true.
You guys are going to be doing all my research from now on.
Research monkeys, go.
Now, most importantly, this is the first time we've all met.
Yeah.
Yeah, officially,
Yeah.
I want to know first impressions of each other. Leave me out of this because I don't want to know. The first impressions of each other.
I mean, I say this in the nicest way possible, because I genuinely mean it in the nicest way possible.
$4 map barriers.
Oh, God, that was good.
Perfect.
Funny.
Still ruins me. Actually, as awesome as I was expecting, across the board. So, good
I'm
job.
gonna be that person that's just like, yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna latch onto that because I mean that sums it up perfectly. Like it's great. We've had so much fun anytime we've like crossed paths in the past, but now like actually being kind of official and sort of getting to do this on a much more of a basis, and then having that coincide with the first time we all get to hang out in person together is also very, very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It worked out very well.
Yeah.
Well, there's a very important reason we're all in Melbourne at the moment. It's not just to meet each other, which is nice. But PAX Australia 2022, by the time this is out, would probably have started and or finished. So let's just get ahead of the curve. How was your time at PAX?
Yeah, look, it was really good. I'm even more tired than I was before. Overall, really good PAX. Really had a good time.
I'm going to say something that will still be relevant at the end of PAX if this comes out afterwards, and that is, oh man, I played Street Fighter 6 and I'm really bad at it. So, I unless I manage to go in there and have some sort of like that movie The Wizard, where I just like suddenly like I'm so good at like Street Fighter 6 and that's my thing.
But you've got to wear the power glove.
Yes,
See,
so bad.
You say
It's
that.
so bad.
Recently, we went out to Fortress for drinks, and Lockie, who's streamed with Story Mode before, a Street Fighter legend. Literally, he is the best fighting game player I've ever seen. I drunkenly versed him in Tekken 3 on an arcade. And I almost beat him, but then I was button mashing, because of course I was.
Of course.
And I made Yoshimitsu kill himself.
Yep.
Right at the end.
Good work.
That's
Good
right.
work.
Oh my
man.
god,
So
I
that's
remember
Some
that.
Tekken gaming right there.
The way I see it, I won.
Yep.
But Simon Felix, how's your PAX?
Yeah, good. I spent probably a little bit too much time at the Final Fantasy 14 booth because, I
Mad simp.
You gotta get that.
Absolutely.
Gotta get that shirt.
not only that, but I'm going to see if I can try and butter up the staff enough that I can get not just a shirt for me, but a shirt for my friends back in Perth who also play Final Fantasy with me. I'm actually going to
Make
try
a call now. Tell me if you got that shirt or not.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm gonna say no.
Ooh.
But we'll try.
Is this
I
the
hope-
part where I say that like the last couple of packs is they've had the 14 booth and I have the shirts from those, but I didn't do them. Is that where I say that here?
Okay, excellent. No, perfect. All right, that means that
Yeah, you're real for shot.
yeah, I've got a genuine shot then of getting the additional shirts that I want.
How about you, Felix? South PAX?
It was great, man. I had a grand time. My first ever PAX, and it was everything I expected it to be. No, I am keen on hanging around the tabletop aspect of it.
Hell yeah.
And
You mean you
hopefully-
were keen?
Sorry,
to,
I
and
was,
have
and
done
then
that.
I had a great time doing it.
Yes, yes,
yeah, of
and
course.
okay, improv.
Yes, yes,
I was looking forward to originally.
That's right. I had a great time at the tabletop booth and steadily growing my skill set so I can eventually claim the title of tabletop emperor.
That is
of
in the
the
handout.
world.
Well, I'm actually really stoked that for PAX, I didn't know they had like a prom king, but I was honored to be awarded that. King of PAX, they call me.
It was a crazy moment when you got up on stage completely naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look,
When
that
that
was
happened.
They voted for me, not for my clothing.
They called off the entire Omegathon finale.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
you ended up winning a
They
Megathon.
renamed it the Omega Dong.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
The trophy is now modeled after Jesse, and that part you're exactly thinking of. Yeah.
It's a
Too
big,
big to carry.
it's a big fucking trophy.
anatomically correct.
Speaking of big, we do have a topic for today. We're not just gonna talk about
Shit.
my dick. Good. We thought, hey, now that you guys are joining on, we should lift the maturity of the show a little bit.
This is not what I signed up for. Thank you for
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
fair call.
I'm back
I
in
didn't
out.
get
Yeah,
the,
we're
I did
out,
not
sorry.
get the Discord memo for that one.
30-day
Guys.
cooling off period.
I have a topic for us. Because recently I jumped back into a little game which I get a lot of scorn for not finishing yet. It's called Elden Ring.
Boo, you didn't
Yeah,
finish
no,
it.
fair enough. But then I also looked at the other games I haven't finished this year, and the other one, big one being Horizon Forbidden West. These are really big games, and I'm terrified of getting back into them. So I want to ask a question. Are games too big?
Let's break that down a little bit because what do you mean by too big? What classifies as too big?
Well, I don't know. Too long? Too much of scope? Too many mechanics at play?
I mean-
Just too much?
For me, I used to be like, I used to have that weird part of my brain that would be like, oh, this game's selling for $30, but it's only 2.5 hours long. Oh, that's not. Like, I'd have that really weird rationality in my head.
Yeah.
And now I've only just started to switch that off because, I'll tell you what, a 2.5 hour game that I can see from start to finish and feel accomplished by at the end of it makes me feel great. As someone who has a 3-year-old at home and may only have like 2 to 3 hours maybe a day, if that,
Yeah.
that's best case scenario to actually play a game.
I don't think it's that cut and dry though, really, because I would say that yes, some games are too big, but if you're a good game like Elden Ring, you can get away with it.
We'll get back into Elden Ring because Elden Ring is...
You will get back into Elden Ring. And finish it.
It's so hard. Why is that man so angry
Just
with
call me
me?
in and I'll help you.
I gave him death root. Thought it'd be bros. And then also, for about a day, I forgot that I had the Spirit Ashes.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
they'll
good.
help
Okay,
you.
that's
They'll
gonna
help
that's
you.
gonna change the game a little bit for you.
a little
yeah.
bit. Look, I used them last night. I still lost.
So you're one of those guys. You're like, I don't like this because I am bad at the game.
Look, I'm made of multitudes. Okay, there are various dimensions, to Jesse. But like, let's start from the top. What was the last game you enjoyed more because of how sort of succinct it was. For me, I have such a soft spot for Resident Evil Village. Because it wasn't that long. 15, 20 hour long game. There's a few little side bullshit you can do, but you don't need to. It was just a tight experience, and when it was done, it was done. I haven't felt a need to go pick it back up. I will when the DLC comes out.
Less than a month to go.
I'm very excited for it.
Nearly here.
But I think it let every part of the game breathe a little bit, but not get lost in itself. I can remember every area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say the same about many other games that I've finished.
Yeah, I played a fantastic indie game, which is coming up, the sequel, Deliver Us Mars. I played Deliver Us the Moon recently.
Oh, I've heard about this.
And
Yeah,
yes, sci-fi thriller. And I had no expectations going in. I had no idea what it was going to be about. And it just floored me. That game, I finished it in 2 nights. And it's free if you have the PS Plus Extra, whatever it is.
Huh.
And so I downloaded it, I played it, and it just like floored me. It was a great thriller tale about being in space and not knowing why this station is abandoned, and then trying to figure out how to restart it and everything like that.
That sounds cool.
Yes,
sounds really good.
And it
That
was
sounds
great
awesome.
because the puzzles were like, you know, they were interesting, but they were easy enough that you didn't get bogged down in all of it. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh, it's done. Like, I'm finished. I
Yeah.
finished the game, and I finished that story, and it leaves it open for a sequel, but it was still, you know, final enough that I was like, I'm so glad that it's like reading a book, you know, start to end. You're like, I got that whole story in like a little snippet. And a lot of big games, it takes, you know, if you're an adult with a life, it takes you months to get through something like Red Dead 2 or
Oh,
something
God,
like
yeah.
that, or you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is just astronomically big.
I spent months playing Valhalla.
Oh yeah, same.
It took me so long to finish that game.
Well, actually, let's skip ahead a little bit because it's funny you bring up Valhalla. What are there some games recently that you've dropped like a sack of potatoes because they were too long? Valhalla, I got to a point. Not only is that game scope too much, the amount, like, I guess, like map wise, the scope is in mechanics and different systems at play. It was too much. I'm like, I just want to assassinate people. That's all I want. It's called Assassin's Creed. Let me do that part. Less
Yeah.
of the Creed, more of the assassins.
Yeah.
But it's barely Assassin's Creed anymore. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
Like, but you are right. Like, the Valhalla is a mess, and it's not just because of the size. It's because of everything else in that game it's trying to do. Between like the multitude of storylines you're following, the
Yeah.
mini games you can do, obviously all the usual Ubisoft map markers. I didn't drop Valhalla. I mean, I've dropped other Assassin's Creeds. Like I've dropped Odyssey like 2 or 3 times now, I think.
I don't think
Origins I've dropped a couple of times as well.
I haven't finished any Assassin's Creed game. I think the closest I got was Assassin's Creed 2.
I think
And I got like probably...
It's one of the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
got like 3/4 of the way through, and then something else came out, and I didn't go back to it.
I think
But
I love
I know, I'm so sorry,
finished-
Felix. I know how much that hurts you.
I've already finished 3.
I finished.
1, 2, and Black Flag. Look, Odyssey is one of the best games I've played in the last 10 years. I love it. But it's okay, calm down. Like,
Felix
Wow.
is
I
quaking.
can't believe you flew down from Queensland. for us.
Paid money for this.
This is halfway through day one.
The king will hear about this.
Odyssey
My
does
father.
have Catherine, no. Is it Catherine is the female protagonist in Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Cassandra.
Cassandra.
Our sweet.
Right, you guys are
know,
killing me
Yeah,
here.
no, that's fucked, man. Our
Killing me.
sweet queen. I just.
I said I've dropped it twice, but I didn't remember her name. I know she was in Valhalla in a crossover
think-
quest.
Well, I think this also, like, there is a definition between game being too big because of how big the map is, or game being too big as in there's just too much content and a lot of it is stupid. Far Cry 6, the map wasn't massive. It was, regular size.
I think if you start sitting
Mechanics.
down and like making a list of who's making these games
Yeah.
that are too
Yeah, good
big,
point.
you
There's
might
a
see
bit of a trend.
Yeah,
an
there's
overlap.
a bit of a pattern
Those
going on.
fuckers.
But it's one of those things that, like, I find myself, I'm not dropping that many games because of their size or their scope or whatever, because I generally try to avoid those larger open world, big scale games.
I feel like you're a bit more like picky, not in a bad way, but you
No, but I am.
you very much know what game you want to play.
Absolutely, and that's why I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since 3, I think. Like, because I could always see the scope getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's fine and it works when it's still focused, but they lose focus very easily. It's the same reason why I bounced off of like Just Cause 3. Like, I thought, oh yeah, this would be really fun, wanton destruction, silly, but I bounced off of it really quickly.
That almost goes the other way, that game, because it's like, here's a massive playground, but not much in it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, like that's also comes down to the argument of like, yeah, you see games going, this is like, we got the biggest map we've ever done, and it's like, Saints Row, the reboot recently, is a big like factor of that, where it's like, there's this big map, but there's nothing in it. So, in my eyes, having a smaller map and making it just like rich with stuff to do that you're not having to like trek halfway across the universe to get to.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made me so excited with this GTA 6 leak, is the map is smaller, but it's a lot more like vertical, a lot more interiors.
More dense.
That's what I want. I want a denser map rather than a bigger one, because
For sure.
it's just dead space. Not the game, but just the area.
I think it's interesting because obviously it's not just the publishers and the developers that are to blame for this. Like,
Simon.
the reason it is Simon sitting right next to
Specifically, Simon.
Just
Simon
me.
Evans.
It's just me. I'm the only one.
me. But no, the boatloads of pre-orders that
Oh,
people
God.
get
Yeah.
when Todd Howard walks on stage and he says 4 times the size of Fallout 3 or whatever, you know, however big that map
That was
is.
a really good impersonation.
It's
You were
very
like,
good.
Whatever.
It's sort of, I was very
Oh,
taken
sorry.
aback there
That
for
was
a
really
second.
good.
I was like, Jesus.
There are 1,000
hi.
explorable planets. But
Ah.
like those things and those marketing beats, things like Dying Light 2 with there, it's going to take 500 hours to do everything in the game if you're going to play it like 10 times.
I love
Who's going to
the
do that?
immediate reaction online to that. I was like, what the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
I don't have 500 hours to do things I like,
Yeah.
let alone play Dying Light 2.
I mean, then there's also a game that's coming out in like a month's time that I'm really looking forward to. That I've just said is going to be about 40 hours, which is God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently 40 hours, and I saw that and I was like, oh man, I'm excited for that game, but that's
Yeah,
That's why the time for
that's
that.
a lot.
How long would you say 2018 was? God of War 2018.
I'd probably say like
Under 20.
Yeah,
20, 25?
Yeah,
I feel like I
25.
spent 30 on it, but I did go through and platinum this stupid game.
I couldn't figure that out.
I
It's one of the
done
things that-
platinum brain.
When I replayed it, I realized when you talk to people about God of War, one of the greatest games I've made, there are certain areas you talk about. But then you play the game, you realize, oh, there were like whole realms that
Yeah.
nobody really talks about. It's because they got buried in everything else. Everything else was so cool. But like nobody really talks about like the underworld bit. And, like it really gives a shit. Even the elven realm,
Yeah.
like parts of it when you first go in there and you're on the boat and you see all the trees and it looks stunning. That's really cool. And then that boss fight in the dark is amazing.
Yep.
Everything else, like, oh, okay, like forgettable in the scope of the game.
Yeah.
With a 40 hours of Ragnarok, there's going to be a lot you forget, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
I wish it was tighter.
Unless it's not. Like, I mean, it could come out and like legitimately just be like a thrill ride from start to finish.
If any game was going to do that, I think you would have faith that it's
Yeah.
going to
40
be God of
hours
War
That's what I
Ragnarok.
mean. Yeah.
40 hours of Atreus, though?
Imagine sitting on a roller coaster for 40 hours, bro. That's what it's going to be.
That's all.
His heart's going to give
Can we,
out.
can we not talk about roller coasters? We'll start talking about Ferris wheels. And I'm going to see
Oh, please don't. I
mean-
visually see some get erect. I'm going to say
You weren't
around.
complaining earlier.
Hey-oh.
It could be just the case that the 40 hours is for doing everything, though.
That's what I feel like it
Yeah,
might
that's
be.
the point, yeah.
Surely.
Or side
I
content.
hope so.
Yeah.
And I'm always wary
Oh, no,
when
'cause-
someone comes out and goes, "This is how long our game is." I'm like, "Let's wait till we play it." Okay?
Yeah.
If it's 40 hours to do everything, that means they would have another area like not Niflheim.
Oh yeah.
That
Final
stupid maze area.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
roguelike one. Or
That was-
Yeah,
that was
that's
Niflheim.
I didn't like
sucked
that.
so
Yeah, that
much.
was fine.
Yeah. But I mean, it also falls,
Corey, what are you doing?
it falls back on the gamers because, like, you know, why it's easy to say as media that, like, oh, we want smaller, more compact games because they like might not do better in the sales side, but they are more effective and a higher quality. But the majority of people, they look at it and go, oh, like, I want a game that's value for money. And so they equate money to hours, like you were saying earlier.
That's
Joel.
yeah.
And so they
Yeah.
go like, oh, I want to get this this game that is going to take me 100 hours to complete, because then I'll buy it for like $100, and then that's $1 an hour. Like, that's pretty good. And then instead of
It's
buying
such a
another
weird
game.
way to like
It is. It's such a weird way.
quantify
Yeah.
It's
worth.
But also, I feel like in that equation, like, you're massively glossing over replay value. And a good game that handles replayability really well is worth its weight in gold, like through and through.
Of course.
Like some of the roguelikes and roguelites that make just the individual run feel different every time, whether it's Dead Cells or my absolute favorite Vampire Survivors.
I think it's a Hades.
Oh,
Nah,
Hades as well, but Vampire
absolutely
Survivors
Hades.
is-
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, like Vampire Survivors.
so good.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You can't get into it.
Into Hades?
No,
No,
Hades,
that-
Hades
Okay,
is
okay.
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors.
It's okay.
No,
It's okay.
It's
Hades
I-
is fantastic.
It's all right, guys. It's
It's-
okay.
It's the same case as Elden Ring though, where he's just bad at it. So
Oh,
he
okay,
just,
that's
kind
fair,
of gives
that's
up.
fair.
That's fair.
Are you a gamer? Or are you...
Don't call me out this week on that. Don't call me out on camera about that. I like games. Look at the hat. It's got
Oh,
control,
never
man.
mind, never mind.
proof.
Don't worry.
I thought you just really liked your keyboard and had a favorite key.
Oh my god.
F1. F-U.
Nice.
Anyway, going back to my point, Vampire Survivors, like it's coming out fully, like it's going from the early access to a full 1.0 release. The price is going up a little bit, but I paid, I think it was like $4 or something for it back in like maybe March or April or something, and I've played well over like 80 hours of that game because I wanted to, and I've gotten all of the achievements for that game. Every single time there's a new update and there's a new achievement, there's a new character. Because I want to. Because I have a good time playing that game.
And on the flip side, and like the roguelite sort of area, my play count across multiple platforms of Enter the Gungeon is
Excellent chat.
fucking astronomical. Like
Absolutely.
I couldn't even tell you how many times have I actually finished a run in that game. I can tell you twice.
Hey, well, that's 2 successes.
That's 2 successes.
Yeah.
Successes.
And one of them I
Beating
started
me.
halfway through the run. So like I love that game. It's such a great game. And every now and then I'll just have like a relapse where I'll just play it again for 2 weeks and just be like on my Switch, like tuning out.
I think the discussion about like how much a game is worth brings up one of my more controversial opinions on things.
Ooh.
There is a discussion to be had about games being too expensive now.
Yeah.
But I think with the amount of the teams are getting bigger, we're getting more the high production values and stuff like that. It costs more to make games.
Expectations are getting higher as well.
Exactly.
And people are trying to meet them. Yeah.
I think there's also the argument to make that some games are too cheap. So if you go on Steam sales and you can pick up a full, like, a 50-hour game that with a AAA title for like 8 cents, it's warped people's perception of what a game should be worth, and
Yeah,
therefore
absolutely.
it's
It
become.
absolutely has. Like,
That's a
Oh my
very
god! I
good
didn't
point.
expect people to agree with this.
No,
No,
it's
I was
a
gonna
really
say,
good
like,
point.
Yeah.
When I first signed up for Steam, to the point where even like the PlayStation sales are getting to that, not quite as big as Steam's
Not quite,
like
but-
discounts, but sometimes
Yeah.
I'll see a game on PlayStation, I'm like, that's pretty cheap. I would never have expected it, but Steam sales, yeah, definitely have damaged sometimes even my perception of the value of the
Same
game.
with like Game Pass and PlayStation, whatever they've called it. Plus now, I don't
Plus
know.
we
catalog.
decided, we
or-
decided Plus Pass. Thank
Plus
you very
Pass.
much.
Plus Pass.
Plus
That's right.
Pass,
We
okay,
did.
I like that.
Yeah.
Plus
good.
Pass. It's easier.
But how many people do you see? A game comes out, oh, it's not on Game Pass. No, I'm not playing it. They want to play it for quote unquote free subscription cost. But people's perception of what a game is worth is so fucked because they want more for it, but they don't want to pay anything for it.
See, that's a bonus for me. If I see a game that's like coming out and it looks really, really cool, and then it goes, oh, it's also coming to Game Pass day one, I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
I think it's a nice little bonus, but there's people who just flat out say, not touching it.
That's
It really
weird.
hurts indie developers when you
Yes.
go on Steam and you see an indie game for under like $5. You're like, that's an appropriate price for an indie game because every other indie game is priced at under $5. When you see one that they're actually charging more because that's probably what they have to do to at least break even on the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and you're like, oh, $15 for that? Like it looks the same as all the others.
I saw so many people complain about Cult of the Lamb because it's like $35-$40.
yeah.
Yeah.
Melbourne's own Cult of the Lamb.
Yes.
They
Um,
want what the ADGA gaming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
deserved. What a fucking game that is.
Great
Such a
game.
good game.
Great game.
I saw people saying it costs too much, and they hadn't even played it. It just
Yeah.
it is an indie game, therefore it should not cost as much. There isn't enough content.
The worst
to-
part is, like, I feel like indies have been fighting this battle for ages.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Shovel Knight Dig just came out last week, and I went to check the price on it. It was $45, and my immediate reaction was like, "Oh, that's a lot." And I was like, "You know what? Like, it's a roguelike type of game. You know, I didn't have the money for it at the time, so I didn't buy it. But like, I will have no problems with playing that."
And like, look, you two know a lot more about indie games. Actually, you four know a lot more about indie games than I do. But I feel like over the last 5-10 years, indie games have become more in the public eye. and people are starting to realize there are levels to indie games. They're not
Yeah.
just all the same
Yeah.
type of game, which I think a lot of people thought of it. You know, a Devolver indie game is a lot different to others. It is like
Yeah.
a AAA
Oh,
indie title.
It's Devolver, my one true love.
I love it. They're getting to me. They're getting me into the indie space.
I'll be there over the weekend picking up one of their t-shirts.
Joel, what you
again.
mean to say is you had a great time at the Devolver
I'm
booth.
actually. I was gonna wear it right now. Just if you can edit in just the shirt.
Yeah, I really enjoyed
edited it.
playing. I'll edit that in afterwards, okay?
I did. It was great. But yeah, like you're right though, because I think in a lot of people's minds, people would think of an indie game as either a roguelike or roguelite, or a 2D platformer game. Either it be like a speed running kind of thing, or like just a general. Oh, it's like Mega Man, but it's in this setting, kind of thing.
Mighty Number 9 weeps quietly in the
Yeah,
corner.
right.
One of my earliest memories of having this indies cost too much discussion, and this is maybe going back to age myself a bit, was when Journey came out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant, beautiful game. That game company, yes.
Yeah.
But when that came out, it was definitely yeah, you can play this game in a couple of hours. I'm like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Have my money. But obviously that was a talking point where it's just well, this game's only a couple of hours and it costs this much money. It's just play the game and enjoy it.
Yeah. And
Three of my favorite games: Limbo, Inside, Journey. You can beat. Joel, have you not played some of them?
No. Joel,
I've played Inside.
hey Joel, what do you think of Inside?
I think it's overrated, but that's just.
oh,
Fuck, that was a pretty short-lived connection.
I thought
for
I've told you this
Daleks.
before. I was gonna say, I thought I've told you this before, but yeah, I think it's overrated. I finished it and I was just like, okay.
I just wanted,
And I
I
normally
just wanted to
love
bring
that
up that bad blood. So
I normally
I'm good
love
now.
that kind of shit, but I really do. I normally love that kind of shit, but Inside was just like,
I'll take the heat off you. I've never played Inside.
That's fine. That's something you will learn. Okay.
you haven't got a negative opinion towards it.
Well, I can't. If I play it, I can't have a negative opinion. on it.
Neutral's good. Neutral I can deal with. But those three games, you could beat in a couple of hours, and that's where they're stuck with me. There's no filler in those games. I remember every story, every beat to them,
Yep.
and they cost a good amount. I didn't mind paying a little bit extra for them because I knew I was going to take a lot out of that experience and keep it with me.
The way I would start, I sort of started to retrain myself to think about it was, it's like, okay, cool. If I was going to go to see a 2.5 hour movie, right? How much am I going to pay for a ticket? And then how much am I going to pay for snacks on top of that? To have a good time in that 2.5 hours. That's going to be, upwards, $35, $40 really if you're paying full price for things and being, pretty cheap on some stuff. But, so that's the same price as what these indie games are charging for the same amount of time, and you're getting probably the same amount of enjoyment, if not more sometimes, because you have that interactive element with it. You don't have that passive element of sitting back and watching a movie. I'm not going to say that games are better than movies or anything like that. I'm not going to start that argument or anything. But
You're trying to fight everyone today.
yeah,
man.
I am. I'm coming out swinging. Yeah, that's it.
Take that, Scorsese.
You know,
Son of a bitch. Enemy of the show.
The only thing to take his mind off the MCU is now focused on Joel. Strictly on Joel.
but you know who I don't hear complaining about the price of their entertainment is, and I do this as well. It's like you buy books to read, and
Oh my God.
you kind of if you want a book, you're like, I don't really care what it costs.
Yeah.
Like this new
true.
book costs like $50, and it's like, I'm not going. How many pages is it though? Like,
That's
Paper page.
like, yeah, like,
Price per page.
yeah. I'm
You
not,
see,
I'm not
Kin-
checking
Kin-
that out.
Kindle has ruined the average reader's perception of worth. Okay. That's actually a comparison I never thought of making. That's a
really good-
point.
that's a
Good
Yeah.
point.
Especially considering yesterday I was at Minotaur and bought a Final Fantasy XIV art book. And it's just an art book, right? But it's an official Square Enix product, blah, blah, blah. And I paid like $55 or something for
That's
it.
a lot cheaper than I expected that to
That-
be.
yeah,
that is dramatically cheaper than I thought it would be.
Like I say, we're talking about expensive books. I'm on the hook for those 2 Elden Ring books.
Oof, oh, buddy.
$77 each.
I think the last one of those I bought at full price, and I can't even remember how much I paid for it, was that the Zelda
Oh, the Historia.
The Hyrule Historia.
The Hyrule
Historia.
Historia.
I think I've actually bought that book twice.
Now severely outdated
All
because
all
of the
pages stuck
timeline.
together.
Well, because they did a revised version too, didn't they? Yeah.
No, I misplaced my first copy when I was moving from England over to Perth.
You're English.
No,
Fucking crazy.
This place sold it for meth.
when I first landed in Perth. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's wind it back to like the original topic because we went off. We need to talk about indie games and worth for a while.
Welcome
but
to having
I was
dialogue.
going to say, that's what happens when you
We
turn
are just-
the
I'll let it go.
Have you seen how long our
Cyber
episodes are? Yeah.
let's go back to
Like-
the other extreme because we did bring up games like Starfield and Red Dead before. These are games with just massive maps. Maybe let's start with Starfield. Like Todd said before, can you deliver us that line again?
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Aw.
Look, Todd doesn't do
Perfect.
on-calls.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks to 76, mate. It did have a thousand
Skyrim
planets.
again.
1,000 planets. Procedurally generated, some of them will be actually handcrafted. But you'd think that a lot of that is marketing spin because surely they're just resource dumps.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's such a weird marketing spin because I don't think anyone's excited by this. It's kind of in the same vein, and I know I'm going to get heat from somebody from this, with Borderlands. Borderlands. I don't like the games personally.
That's fair.
It's fair. They're not my cup of tea. But one of the things that really annoyed me when they're like, "Oh, there's a billion fucking guns. Oh, we're so
Yeah,
wacky,"
yeah.
and it's like, okay, there are a lot of different gun types. Fair enough, but to have two guns next to each other and the only difference is 0.01% accuracy, and to consider that another
Sure.
gun
I mean,
is
that's,
stupid.
that's a
Sure.
loot game issue, not
Exactly.
Because like sometimes that'll happen, and it's like for a Diablo, you'll be like, I've got the same weapon. That one's got slightly better, like I don't know,
Yeah.
defense or something.
Yeah.
It's a
I hate
a
shit like that.
genre like pitfall.
I can sense a bit of tension here. I want to just dissolve this for a second. The difference here, I think, with the Borderlands comparison is Borderlands knows exactly who that trailer is for.
True.
These guys.
Yeah,
It's
right.
Joel. It's
No,
Joel.
it's
right.
real
Joel.
guy. It's me. Yeah.
You know,
And they go,
not really
Joel
your
wants.
inside sort of crowd.
Not yeah, that's not Joel.
Nah,
Real football brain over here.
God, I was waiting for it. I was fucking waiting for it.
But they go,
Yeah.
Joel wants a million billion guns in this game, and he's gonna love it when we say that. But everyone else is like, whatever. But like, I don't care about everybody else. You know, if I'm Borderlands, I'm not saying that for me. But Starfield, Todd Howard knows that the majority of gamers don't think like further ahead than that. They're like, oh, that game is gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna be able to explore everywhere. That triggers all the boxes in my brain. I'm gonna buy it. It's the hype levels are real. Todd seems excited about it.
I'm like, but when I heard that, I'm like, you haven't made a good fucking game in 10 years. Stop making planets. Like,
Yeah.
make a good game, then make as many planets as you want.
It goes back. It just goes back to the argument of like you can make 1,000 planets, but if there's nothing to do on them, what's the point?
I mean,
like
I was saying this earlier to these guys. Like, no one's done everything there is to do on Earth. Like, and that's one planet. There's a lot to do on planet Earth alone. So how on earth do you think that you're going to fill out 1,000 planets worth of stuff to do?
Well,
You're not. You're going to get bored.
a lot of
and
nothing.
it's
It's
gonna
be like
shit.
yeah, like little settlements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, look,
Yeah,
some games do it right, and I think it's tricky because one game, No Man's Sky, does this with just an infinite universe. But when I look at that, I'm like, they're just saying like these are just resource dumps. They're not trying. It's not trying to be anything else.
In No Man's Sky, that's like the point of the game is the journey, is the
Yeah.
Exactly.
the exploration.
But when you've got a game like Starfield, and look, I know that the big part of that is going to be the exploration, like you're an explorer. But when they say that there's some planets are handcrafted and some aren't, you know that
it's
the story is actually quite railroaded because there's only going to be certain areas that you go to that have any significance.
it's like people like Todd Howard saying everything, but it's about exploration. He's saying all these other like buzzword, like hype words and and statements that will look good on a headline on front page of Kotaku or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what he's saying. He wants to get those that vibe.
They've always done that. Like Fallout 4 was the exact same thing. There were
Exactly.
points on the map where everything was, and then everything in between was like, oh, you know, I'll walk for like 10 minutes listening to the cool radio, but then like, what did I find along the way? Another fucking settlement that I need.
Yeah,
A
it's like, who gives a shit?
settlement that needs my help.
Content for the sake of content in a game drives me up the wall, and this could come down to we're all close to mostly close to at least 30. Okay.
Well, I'll speak for yourself.
Sure.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Yeah, yeah, sure,
Look,
yeah.
I was trying to wind in both extremes. Okay.
Hello, fellow children. Like,
That was lovely, Joel. I'm glad we're here.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
It's the only
But, you know,
compliment
like-
you've had in days.
You know, like jobs and kids and all that type of stuff. So the way we play games nowadays is a lot different to what it was, 10 10 years ago, Felix was still in the womb, for example.
I'm 10 years old. That is a great way to explain
9.
God.
But maybe has that changed? Like, do you guys remember games back, say, 10 years ago, when a game came out and the scope was insane? Was that a selling point for you? Because you had the time? Like,
I mean,
are we changing? Are we the ones getting old? Or are the children wrong?
I mean, the children are probably wrong.
Children are
I think-
100%
yeah.
wrong. End of the show.
I think,
The youth.
I think,
Sorry, Felix, you're gonna
Yeah,
have to
you
leave.
guys come for me.
He's an old
So-
soul.
I think,
Yeah, old at heart.
I think it wasn't really a selling, but it was something that I'd be like, oh, that's neat. But if it was a game that I wasn't interested in playing, like I never really played Skyrim. Like it was, like I decided to play Saints Row 3 instead.
Oh.
and
It's okay, we all make mistakes.
honestly,
Because-
one of my favorite games of all
Saints Row
time. It's
3
great.
is a fun game.
It's a very fun game.
It is. I
Another
won't deny
controversial opinion of mine. I mean, look, I've said it a few times. I like Skyrim. I respect it. It's not my favorite game by far. I think it's deeply flawed, and I think it gets looked at with rose-tinted glasses. And that being said, I started replaying it earlier this year, and you realize how much nothing is in that game. When I was younger, I guess back when I had like dreams and a soul and imagination, that fills up a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're younger, you play games and you make up your own stories in your head
It is,
when you're
yeah.
playing them. Also, when I say 10 years ago, I was 22. Like, what? I wasn't that young. Maybe a bit further back. But playing it this year, cynical, old, stressed, too much work, you realize how much wasted time there is. And it's like, just give me
See,
stuff.
It's
Give me something.
funny that you say that.
Todd.
And like bringing up whether or not you've changed or what have you. But I think not too long ago,
The haircut says I haven't.
yeah, there was a study done, and it found that the average gamer is someone in their early to mid 30s with 2 kids, and they have 2 hours of gaming time available to them per week.
Yep.
And like, that's your average gamer. That is the average person who is going to play a video game. And when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, okay, like that sort of adds up. That makes sense to me. You know, I can definitely see where that's coming from. But then there are these games that are just hell-bent on being like, oh no, you've got 1 million hours of content to enjoy. It's like,
Enjoy.
is it really 1 million hours of content, or is it about 50 hours of content that you've recycled almost 1 million times over? Like, what's the actual
I mean,
deal?
look, you can't make a zombie parkour game 500 fucking hours of new content, can you?
Um,
You're
according
jumping
to-
over the
No.
same meat man.
But then
You
there's
can't say zombies in games.
But then there's like the
Or movies.
delightful,
Walkers.
there's a delightful, happy, medium sweet spot there, which is Destiny 2, which is they do recycle a
Let's
lot of
be
stuff.
very careful for talking about games that are long.
Oh, but as I'm saying, but it is, and there's all this other content, and they are recycling a whole bunch of stuff, but it still feels fucking fun to play,
Well-
and it's still great. Like,
That's going to bring us into the, kind of the next topic a little bit. What are some games that do it right? / what are some games that are going to completely contradict the arguments I've made? Because I have some like games that actually thought the scope worked really well.
Okay.
Elden Ring.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
no, we said we were going to talk about Elden Ring.
it's for sure.
Okay,
Yes.
Dumb game for babies. Okay, it's too
Okay,
Oh
hard.
sure.
God,
Don't
okay,
like
okay,
it.
baby.
Wah.
Creator
and
boy.
youth, enemy of the show. No, man, look. I wish that game ended a little bit sooner because the whole snow part at the top, shit, it's garbage. There's nothing interesting there. The start of that game is not even a 10 out of 10. It is a fucking 37 out of 10. It is so good, and I'm not a Souls. I'm not good at games.
We figured that out.
Horror, I know.
You need a soul to enjoy.
But no, I absolutely like love Elden Ring. I think when we do our Game of the Year stuff at the end of the year, we're kind of looking for second place. I think
Probably.
God of War.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
God.
that's
Third
the
place.
that's the
Mario
argument.
Rabbids,
Hey.
baby.
You best believe I'm coming in hot on those Game of the Year discussions.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I'm coming in hot with some bangers.
Oh boy, it's gonna be great. Like if this is the tone we're setting already,
Oh,
like
yeah.
with this, it's gonna be fun.
But yeah, I wish that whole snow area didn't need to be in it because you could tell there's not the same amount of effort and love was put into it. It feels hollow, and plus that Crumbling Azura fuck.
That was it.
Whatever
That was
it's
the name
called.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that
read
was
the
it.
lore, okay. I downloaded the Grimoire on my phone.
I didn't know we had Vati Vidya on the show.
It's so bad. It sucks so much.
Look, I'll pay that I also, like, when I got to Crumbling Fabulous,
Fuck.
just like just navigating that area, I was like, okay. But as much as the snow areas weren't fun to explore, because I was so absorbed in that world, I liked the idea of just these barren wastelands.
Yeah.
As you got closer to where sort of like the epicenter of this kiln.
You already had that. You had Caelid.
But it fits
That was
the
the
theme.
other side
But
of
that's
it.
what I mean. Like, they already had that zone of just emptiness and like, oh, it's a bit rough.
Or
There's been some mischief happening here.
that scene, that theme of desolation is the whole point of that leading up, where you go into the kiln and then you decide that the world changes at that moment. You go into that place and you decide, this is it. This is where I'm making my
Don't go to
choice.
the kiln.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's the classic hero's journey. The pivotal moment happens when you're at your lowest. And I'm not saying that's the lowest point of the game. I'm saying that's when it's like there's nothing around you, and there's just one lone giant standing there at the very end.
Yep.
And
I'm like the last giant, and it's just like, I guess I'm gonna kill you.
it's like I feel really terrible about
He
it.
started that fight.
Well,
Let's be fair. I walked in there. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Can I use that kill?
he knew why you were there.
He's doing his job, man.
Yeah.
Hit me with his foot.
Yeah, he honestly wanted it more, but I won in the end.
It's almost like he's there for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there aren't any giants left for a reason, you know?
I'll defend that snow area. Yeah. You're
I
wrong.
won't defend
You're
the
wrong,
crumbling
actually.
area, but I will defend the snow area.
Yeah,
as well.
that's yeah.
What was like the main sort of castle in the game?
Oh, Storm.
Limgrave?
Stormhill or whatever it's called?
Yeah, but very, very, very
Stormvale.
first one.
The first
Yeah.
one, yeah.
I remember like
Stormgrave.
there are like 6 or 7 narrative threads you can pull in that area, and there's dungeons and there's like unsolved mysteries, and I spent so much time in there.
That castle is a Dark Souls game.
It is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool.
It's huge.
But I like the amount of stuff you get in that whole snowy area in Elden Ring just paled in comparison to the amount of content in one castle. I don't know. It bugged me.
All right, moving the conversation away slightly
Don't you host this show?
from Elden Ring.
Get out of here.
We didn't even get to Melania though.
Let me solo her.
Neither of us.
It's because you haven't explored the snowy areas enough.
I want
Yeah.
to. She deserves to live somewhere better. Move
I mean,
to
she doesn't
Caleb,
live
baby.
in a snow
Oh,
area.
you will change your tune once you get to her.
She's alright.
How do we feel about...
Friend of the show.
I feel an example of a game that does scope, scale, and depth almost perfectly is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
The Elden Ring beta.
That's what they call me.
I know.
Wow.
Self-burn.
How do we? That's
Yep.
it. That,
Wrap it up.
that's holy shit. You can't get much better than that. That's
Jokes are cancelled for the rest of the show. Like,
But look, Breath of the Wild did it really well because I think every area was diverse, and you could take a left and find something brand new.
Yeah.
And take a
Yeah.
right. Like,
What's good about Elden Ring? But what I do agree. I agree.
to a
I
point.
agree. I
What's
agree.
snow area? You turn left, there's snow. You turn right, guess what there is? Fucking snow. Maybe a giant.
It might be
It
a
might be a
giant.
giant, like, rotting bird
Oh wait,
monster.
there's a fucking bird monster over here, and there's
Yeah.
a dog monster over here. Sorry, the agony of choice.
This is the most high school argument I've ever heard.
And he's fresh
So
out.
snow. There's more snow. Don't worry about it.
I don't know,
It's boring.
that game pissed me off, man.
It's supposed to piss you off.
For the best game I've ever played, it's pissed me off.
7.3 out of 10. Too much snow. That's it. That's the one.
But like, okay, well, let's go back to games that have done it right. I would say Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Because that game is about, I think you brought up a really good term for it, desolation and loneliness and just like quiet contemplation.
being sad.
Being
Yeah.
sad.
On a
Pressing
horse.
four
such a
buttons on
mood.
top of your
Such a
horse.
mood.
And being frustrated as well. Like I remember seeing people they're like, "Oh, it's terrible controls. It's so in depth." I'm like, that's kind of the point. Like it's
Look, I don't know. I agree to a degree.
Yeah,
and
I mean, there are
remember
some
the time I
elements.
tried to get off my horse and hit shit, and I like face planted in the mud. And I
Yeah.
got back on my horse and it climbed up onto the walkway, and then it fell down and I fell face in the mud
Look.
again, and I just gave up.
okay to
Horse,
an
be
extent.
free. Be free.
To an extent, yes. But yeah, I don't know. It has this element of like that game is a slow burn. It's like a HBO limited series kind of vibe where it's, that's the feeling it's going for. And if you're not ready to settle in for that, then it's not going to click with you. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it does. That world never felt overwhelming to me.
The narrative really let the narrative and the scope of the game really meshed together well. You couldn't put the narrative from another Western game like Gun into that world.
No.
Because that doesn't make any sense. That would be ridiculous because...
And plus, you need to remember Gun.
Yeah.
I bring up that game far too much. I don't know.
Look,
The
someone
short
does.
amount of time that I've known you, you really do.
135 odd episodes. I reckon I brought it up in at least 30.
Wow.
I don't know what that is.
Which is weird because I think you thought about Gun more than anyone who's ever actually played it. Thought about Gun.
You finish the game, you
The
get a gun that
developers-
shoots dynamite, you get a devil horse.
The devs didn't even think about it that much.
They did not.
No.
I think Wing did that one, didn't they?
Number one gun supporter.
Wow.
Really,
Wow.
actually,
Wow.
I should rethink that statement before.
Yeah, hang on. Wait.
Pro gun, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep.
You might call us a pro gun show.
NRA, friends of the show.
Jesus. All right.
Well,
Oh
dialogue
my
options
God.
is sealed.
Make another gun again.
Make
more guns. Yeah, that's
More
it.
gun
Oh
sequels.
my God. I don't even remember.
This is unhinged.
Everyone
Wow.
should trade in their guns for a copy of PS2's gun.
That's it. That's how you solve the gun crisis in the US. Done.
It's gun and control. The two.
We've
Oh my
achieved
god, I
a lot
do
here.
love gun and
Genius.
control. Holy shit.
You love gun control. Ah.
I'm like little Johnny Howard.
We've achieved a lot here today.
Felix, what's the game that you think nails a bigger scope and kind of warrants it?
Oh, a bigger scope and warrants it.
So I just want to wonder, not just scope as in map, but also like mechanics, like a bunch of systems at play, but still works.
It's okay to say Elden Ring as well. Really
I want to
is.
say, yeah.
I've got thoughts in the snow area. I tell you what.
everyone took Elden Ring. I don't think I actually have any game that I can think of that it really serves it, because I can only think of examples of games that really do a smaller scope well, like Portal or
Oh, God.
Portal
Oh,
2,
yeah.
and like if you had any more of those games, you'd be like, oh, it's getting kind of tired now. But
No, please, one more Portal.
yeah,
One
okay,
more.
I'll take it. more.
Half-Life.
But I don't want it to be very
3,
long. Like,
please, as well.
They
Like,
can't
come
count
on.
to 3 yet, but they'll get there.
But I agree. It's the length of those games because Portal could get tedious after a while.
oh yeah, it 100% would. You'd get real sick of those jokes.
They nail it.
They really do. A game that does do its big scope extremely well is, it's one of the best selling games of all time. Been around for a very long time. Is Minecraft.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
unfathomable scope, but it says it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
Yes.
Right?
I think it does definitely do the sandbox side of things, I think, better than you could really sort of imagine by just sort of going... Because like people say, oh no, GTA 5 is a sandbox. It is.
This is a sandbox you get to make castles in.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you get to play with the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
digital
here's a
Lego.
sandbox, but here are your toys, and those are the only things you can touch. Whereas Minecraft, it's like, no, fuck it, even the box itself is up for deliberation.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, chew on it.
You
You
can
can
do what
change
you
how
want.
much sand is in there. You can change whether the sand's all flat.
You can program the box to be something completely else by using
yeah, you
different
can make-
parts of the box to connect it to. Yeah,
Like a
have you
game
seen,
inside your sandbox.
yeah, exactly.
The Game Boy emulators within
Oh yeah,
Minecraft.
you could take a
fully
sandbox,
work.
put it in the sandbox,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, put another sandbox inside that other
I've never
sandbox.
played it.
You've never played
I've never played
Minecraft?
Minecraft?
Never.
I've never played like a single second. I've never played it.
It is
Why do you
the
host a game?
best-selling game in the
You guys let
world.
me.
It's like, I mean, I have no strong desire to go back to it anytime soon, really. But like, I've had a lot of fun with it.
It's-
I enjoy games that have a similar idea and not quite to the scope of Minecraft, but for example, Valheim.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Love Valheim.
Excellent game.
Yeah.
Put like 100 hours into that. It's not even finished. And like when that next update drops, I'll put another 100 in. No problem.
It
Yeah.
has that guidance though, as
I
well.
think-
Like, that
Yeah.
structure to it as well. where
Yeah,
it's-
definitely.
Yeah.
The issue with Minecraft is, all due respect, coming from the youth here.
The voice of the youth.
The youth
voice of the
correspondent,
youth.
Felix.
Youth corner.
I speak for everyone younger than me.
Do you want to wear my hat backwards?
Oh yeah. No, but Minecraft was a time in history.
It was.
Uh,
100%.
And, when Minecraft launched, that also launched YouTube, and it also launched the gaming side of YouTube. it was kind of responsible for content creators as they are now. And so,
So I could blame Minecraft, eh?
yes, you've got to blame
You
Minecraft.
almost can. You can trace it back.
But you can trace it back.
Yeah, you can trace a lot back to that game. Actually.
God.
But it was a time in my life personally when I was, experienced a lot of different things since I was a teenager. And so it's just like I found comfort in that. And it was a really stable and awesome part of my life that now when I go back to it, I'm like, oh, the game is like, okay, it's a good game, but I'm only playing it because I want to remember that time in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the nostalgia of it. But I think with Minecraft now is it just says, here's everything. Make your own memories. Make your own stories. And I don't know actually of any other game that does it to that same degree of like a lot of games say make your own story or like do all this, but then it's like, really, what tools are you giving me to actually make my own story? But Minecraft did that, and it did it well.
The closest that I could probably think of off the top of my head, and it's only because my wife really likes watching streamers and YouTubers play this, is The Sims.
Oh yeah.
True.
But even then, there is still structure and rules within
Yeah,
that you need to abide by to some extent. You can break those rules every now and then.
Yeah, like here's your
But-
dollhouse in the sandbox, but if occasionally you put a fire truck inside the dollhouse,
Yeah.
well, it'll be fun at
Simon's
least.
stuck in a metaphor.
I am absolutely yeah.
He's stuck in the sandbox.
The Sims
Help.
box. The Sims is a great example of the ways that community have made games much bigger than they actually are.
They've made the
Agreed.
game what it should have been.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
EA, please.
To the point where EA actually and like Maxis and that hire people to actually. My wife follows like a couple of like YouTubers that play like specialize in playing The Sims, and she loves watching them. So I've seen some of them. And there's an Australian guy. His name's James. I can't remember his full name. But he's actually built houses that have been used in the official release packs.
That's cool.
For
Oh, wow.
the game. And like he's done them on stream. He gets early copies of the game. So he's been like, yep, cool, I'm going to build this house today. It's probably going to feature in this game, in this upcoming pack. And
That's
he
awesome.
builds it on stream and shows off. Basically, it's free marketing, well, not free, but like it's marketing for that pack that's coming out. It's good for him. It's a job for him. So yeah, you're 100% right that the community and the making the game explode into that giant sense of scope.
I guess sort of on that topic though, with like the community being able to make the game feel as big as you want it to. And Jesse, please don't hit me for this, but Final Fantasy 14.
I knew it was
Oh
coming.
god.
I knew you
Surprised
wouldn't,
it took this
you
long.
wouldn't travel all this way not to mention it.
Yeah, absolutely, and show it off and shove it in your face as much as I can. I'm going to get you to play it,
I
but
did it and I stopped.
you didn't even get past the login screen.
I did. I entered
Now,
the
in
world.
his defense, it is a hard login screen to get past.
They call it the Elden Ring of login screens, actually.
My
man.
god.
The ice area of Elden Ring of
Yeah.
login screen.
Every time I go back to 14, it's just like, hey, what's your Square Enix ID? I'm like, I don't remember.
There's a nice little button which says "Remember my Square Enix ID."
You'd think I would remember that, but I never click it.
There needs to be a button to
I
remember
did play, but I played
clicking
like 2
the.
hours of it.
Did you actually log into the
Yeah,
game?
no, I actually played a little bit of the game. I was running around.
Oh, good job.
I got lost.
Yeah, not
Stopped playing,
surprised.
deleted it.
But the thing is with like MMOs in general is we've seen this already sort of happen with World of Warcraft, where after expansion after expansion after expansion, the world gets almost too big and it starts to lose part of what made it special. And I'm concerned that it's going to happen eventually with Final Fantasy. At the moment, we're at like a really good spot. We're 4 major expansions in, and everything still feels really good. And like there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of scope, but none of it feels massively overwhelming because you've got everything sort of blocked off based off of your progression through the main story. But there is definitely going to be a point where the main story is going to be too long, and it already is quite long. It's quite a big story. It's an incredible story and totally worth experiencing, but it is just so much. If you start right at the beginning, you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, fuck, there is 90 levels of stuff to go through, and that sounds like so much.
Yeah.
And you'll play through that, and obviously as you get the ball rolling, it becomes much easier to keep the momentum up. But if you drop off at any point, it's so much harder to
Well, I mean,
get yourself back into it.
look, I started up playing Final Fantasy 14 just because look, you and I have our back and forth about it because the shit game. But I did play it based on the Love Letters episode we did. If you want to listen to that, it's on Spotify and iTunes. Ooh, live plugs. No, we did that episode together, and you really did something on the game, so I gave it a go. And it was one of those things where look, it's not my sort of game, so I didn't get into it.
That's
But
fine.
even if I did, the scope would have been like, no, I can't. There's too much time investment here. This is the problem I'm having with Destiny at the moment. I want to start playing Destiny 2. I have no clue where to start. Now, Destiny does it a little bit differently. From you definitely correct me here. They kind of like shelve old stories and stuff like that. It's always quite focused.
They dropped the first the original Destiny 2 story and the first expansion, and then obviously all the seasons they had up until the Witch Queen launched. They all sort of are gone from the game, and they can't be experienced anymore at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did it in a much cooler way than that. But
Well, I mean, they had a narrative reason for doing it, which was especially when they originally dropped a bunch of planets that were initially in the launch of the game. They did have a narrative reason to sort of cover up that they were just we need to get some stuff out of this game because it was becoming a lot. And they have said going forward they won't be vaulting any more stuff, as far as they have said. What that means, we don't know. But they did have a bunch of stuff they did permanently remove from the game.
I think too, because it's getting to the pointy end of its narrative, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yes it is. We've got 2 main expansions left, and that's for the Light and Dark saga will be the end, and then 10 more years of Destiny, they say.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe they can do it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is actually quite funny hearing you talk about Final Fantasy and Destiny like that. You are worried that it is going to get to that point of just being a little bit too top heavy. There's too much going on.
Destiny,
it's like comic books. I can't get into them because
there's already a lot going on in Destiny.
Yeah.
If you log into Destiny now, it'll throw you into 3 different things.
Yeah.
It will explain none of them to you.
Yep.
You need someone who's played Destiny to be like, okay, so go back to orbit, ignore that. Ignore that for now.
Yeah.
You jump into Destiny, a bunch of shit happening, and there's no context for it. So it's like Destiny 1 Day 1 again.
More
Is there
story
an
though,
app?
more narrative.
There's an app for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to go to a website to
Follow
find
a
the narrative.
YouTube account called My Name Is Byth, and he will tell you all the stories of
There you
Destiny.
It's not a Grimoire app.
He's
then I
the
don't care.
Vati video of Destiny lore.
But that's the thing with Final Fantasy at the moment, because it's such a linear story. There's a definitive start, there's a definitive end, and stuff branches off of that at different segments. It's not initially overwhelming, but most people will sit there and say, just focus on the story for now. Just focus on the story, get to the end of the story, enjoy your time, take your time, whatever. And then people that do that, they then look back and go, oh well, there is so much stuff I haven't looked at, I haven't touched. There's all of these raids, there's all of these custom encounters, there's all of these custom weapons that you can do, this, that, and the other, and I haven't touched any of that. What should I do? And then everyone's like, do all of it. It's all really good fun. But it's not going to be all really good fun for everyone. I love all of it because I'm a massive nerd, and I've been playing since. Yeah, well, crazy doing a video game podcast, and I'm a nerd. Who would have thought? But also, I've been playing since A Realm Reborn. I've been playing since it rebooted itself.
I still remember very distinctly going back when I was playing Final Fantasy XIV. I did a full playthrough of Realm Reborn, and it was a few years ago now, but it was also an old expansion at that time. I got to the final. I'm not sure the last mission where you go in with heaps of guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, here we go. And I was watching a cutscene, and I came out. I'm like, hello, where is everyone?
So thankfully they rectified that, because yes, that was an issue. I had the same
Just
experience.
steamroll through the mission. You're like, guess I'll just run through this empty area.
Yeah, and basically what could happen is, because these are obviously story crucial cutscenes, and everyone who had already played it before could just hit escape and just skip the cutscene. Just skip the cutscene and carry on. And of course, any new player who was just trying to experience the story would be left behind, literally. You can't do anything. You just sat there.
So you go with a bunch of friends, you play some Final Fantasy, and then you're by yourself? It's fucking meta.
It's funny because most of my friends do play Final Fantasy with me.
Wah.
Yeah, you're right. Dumb game for babies, just like you.
Oh my gosh.
Is there any snow in this game?
Yes, actually.
I'm out.
Ah,
No time for it. Now, going back to the initial premise of the episode, which we walked away from.
yeah.
It's long gone.
It's long gone. But before this episode gets too big, we should answer the question: are games too big? Fuck, that was good. Do we think games are too big? Let's answer the question.
Definitive answer. No one can argue it.
Maybe.
It depends.
Well played.
A bold statement. I must agree.
Yes, yes, wholeheartedly. Yeah, no, I think I think all the stuff that we have mentioned about it, and even the stuff that has been sidetracked, has been related to it in some way, shape, or form. So I think, yeah, they are too big, but you put into it as much as you get out of it as much as you want to put into it, I guess, is really. And if you look at a game and you think, oh, well, that's really not grabbing me, it's not speaking to me, 100 hours to play through
Just
the main
say
campaign.
all of Ubisoft. Just say it.
You know,
That's what I got to. Like, yeah, like if I look, sometimes I'll look at a Ubisoft game and I'm like, nah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be too big
Yeah.
for me.
What was
Exactly.
the last Ubisoft game we all finished? Just going around the room.
Watch Dogs 2.
Valhalla.
It was Far Cry 6 for me.
You finished that?
Yeah, man.
Shit, good work.
The youth.
Including the Breaking Bad DLC.
Wait, what?
There was the Breaking Bad DLC. for it.
Breaking
my
Bad
God.
DLC?
Yeah.
Sounds like he didn't finish it.
Yeah.
There was an actual official.
Yeah.
Like, I need to play that.
I guess technically I didn't
There was a
finish
Stranger
Valhalla
Things
either.
DLC
Yeah.
as well.
Did you play the Breaking Bad DLC for Valhalla?
No. But there's still that last chapter coming, so technically I haven't
Maybe,
finished Valhalla.
maybe.
I
God.
didn't know there was a Breaking Bad DLC.
Yeah.
That's
it-
crazy.
It came out like a week after. I think
There
it
was a
like
Stranger
one,
Things DLC.
I think it was like 1 or 2 missions.
Oh, crazy. And there was one with Danny Trejo in it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the same one.
No, they
Man,
did a bunch
they-
of like pop culture
crazy,
DLC
man.
pack thingies
Oh my
because
God.
they had Gus Fring. That
Oh yeah, true.
Giancarlo.
Giancarlo Esposito.
You're not a big Ubisoft fan.
No, I'm trying to think. The last Ubisoft game that I finished probably would have been maybe Assassin's Creed 2.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I think the last Ubisoft game I rolled credits on was Black Flag.
Also a good one.
And I like Ubisoft games for the most. Oh, I know, it would have been Far Cry 5.
I have no opinion on that game.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 2, I love. A special place in my heart for it. I think it's fantastic. It's got
I'll
some
watch the
fantastic
playthrough.
I
writing
didn't
in it.
mind it.
It's got
Okay.
some great writing in it too.
Yeah.
Characters like back and forth.
And you could just you could beat a mission just by sitting outside, crossing your legs, and going on your laptop.
Love it.
And you've hacked
good.
drones and shit.
So much
that was,
fun.
That was quite fun.
Yeah.
I think jokes out the room for a moment. The way the industry is going now, I think a lot of people are thinking bigger is better. I just don't. I don't love that we're going down that route.
I feel like there's enough of a counterculture for that, though, that we're going to avoid reaching the absolute worst case scenario.
I'm not saying we're going to go straight to the worst, like we're going to get to a point, but I think we're a little bit further down the road than I expected us to be. When you see in the same year, one team can come out and say, hey, this story is 500 plus hours, there is backlash to it, and they have to come out and then say, no, this is what we mean, we break it down like this, and then a few months later, we have old Toddley Howard come out and say, there's a trillion fucking planets.
Yeah.
That lesson hasn't stuck.
Yeah.
Where it's,
Not yet.
I think maybe there is a bit more pushback from the public regarding it.
Yeah.
But the message just isn't sticking.
The game industry is one of the slowest industries to learn.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's an extremely young industry. Like, the film industry had its own things, but, obviously the film industry is 80, however many years older than the game industry is. But it's going to take some time before
And
the
by
game
the time
industry learns.
It's going to be that constant kind of we're never in the same spot.
Yeah,
When games start getting shorter, people are like, no, make them longer. We have
Yeah.
less time.
that's exactly what's going to
Robots
happen.
have taken our jobs and we've got more time to play games now.
But that...
Jesse playing any game.
it'll end up being a dumb metaverse for babies.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Dumb
Yep.
metaverse for babies.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
that's
I
the
mean, that's the two. A game's too big is dumb metaverse for babies.
perfect.
Where,
Great.
where?
Wah,
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 wah.
wah, wah.
I just want to finish a game, guys. Please.
You picked the wrong games to play.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
trying
You
to
really
finish one.
do. There are plenty of good ones out there.
I
that
finished.
so many.
I think I've got credits on 2 games this year. I've played heaps, but it's Cult of the Lamb and Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah.
I want to say 3 because I want to say Left Behind separate because I need more. I need that. But look, we definitely didn't answer that question, and we never will. But we'll definitely come back to it. I think we touched on a bunch of topics we've been wanting to discuss at length for a while now.
Yeah.
We just shoved more into one, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Love it.
Sick.
Perfect.
High quality sound effects.
Thanks, man. It's all Foley effects. Before we do wrap up, thanks for listening and perhaps watching. Will I upload this to YouTube? Maybe. If you're watching it, yes.
That's very non-committal. You should be thankful.
Just want to thank REKT Gaming Network for letting us into their lovely studio.
Thank you.
It's too good for me. I shouldn't be here.
This is
I need,
so-
to, I need to go back into an alley or
I'm a
something.
big fan of this. Now,
Like there's a rug and everything. Like,
Yeah, crazy.
on the off chance this podcast does come out before PAX, we will be recording live at PAX, or we have recorded recently at PAX. Gotta play it well.
Covering your bases. I
Covering
respect
bases.
it.
It was
Love it.
great and or will be great.
yeah,
And we would like
absolutely.
to thank Audio Technica for having us at their little booth. 5 p.m. on Friday the 7th, we'll be recording a bit of a live show, which will be fun. Judging from this, it'll be chaotic.
Yes.
I'm in a glass case of emotions.
Yes.
Wah, wah.
Quite literally. My God.
But yes, no. If you do hear this before PAX, come say hi. I guess I don't know. You won't know. You may know what we look like by then. Who knows? But also, Dialogue Option Boys, welcome aboard. Little
Yay!
Yay, Elden Ring.
get out of here.
Oh.
Oh,
No, you can stay.
can.
You and your inside opinions can fuck off.
It's fine. It's fine.
You're right.
I gotta go play Borderlands.
oh.
Wah, wah. Come game for babies much.
Oh no, there are two different guns. Whatever will Jesse do?
Stop playing.
Probably complain about the snow.
You know what the worst part is? I just remembered the snow areas for Borderlands that I played, and I couldn't find the card again.
Borderlands 2 starts in a snow area.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. Anyway. We're so happy to be here. Thank you.
We will ruin your lives.
Joel, Kyran, Simon, Felix, absolute pleasure to be with you guys in the same room for once, recording live.
Love it.
Thank you very much for joining in. Now, if you want to catch our other shows that we've got, Spotify and iTunes, just search for Story Mode Gaming. Over the next month or so, you'll start seeing some Dialogue Options shows there, and a bunch of other shows we have in the works. But in the meantime, if you want to listen to some Dialogue Options, check them out on Spotify and iTunes as well. Of course, we're on social media, Twitter and Instagram, and the other one at Story Mode AUS. We're on Twitch at Story Mode AUS. We record these live, but not in the same room every week. We also stream a bunch of games and so on and so forth. We have a bunch of, like I said, other shows coming up, but also some other streams, which will be quite fun. I'm looking forward to them. We have
Very
a lot of things are happening at
mysterious.
the moment. Very mysterious. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, on an individual scale, I guess, where can people find you? Let's go around the room. Felix,
Oh, right. You start with me.
mix it up.
The youth.
The youth.
You can find me on my Twitter account, which is, you can just search up Felix Nichols or at Nichols_Felix. Pretty simple. Yeah, I'm going to be posting some more stuff about my personal writing endeavors soon on the creative writing side of things, which I'm about to get very much more into. So yeah, keep an eye on that.
Simon?
I'm at Sci421. Follow me for hot takes that are normally pretty lukewarm and
At best.
yeah, at best. And
Your day-old
normally
piece of
retweeting
opinions.
other people's jokes as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you want to see those jokes before they get to Simon's account, you can follow me at Jesse Spanner. Kyran, how about you?
I mean, you can find me on Twitter at LemonManX, where it's mostly just going to be Metroid gifs. And Elden Ring. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's all. That's all it is. That's all I bring to the table.
It's good content.
It is.
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
You can find me at Jolie Mac, where it's just a mishmash of garbage that I post.
I love garbage.
Yeah.
We decided to do podcasts on it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. No, it could be anything from the children's television show Bluey to music to what I'm doing that current day.
When you follow Joel, you get everything. Really,
It is,
You get a bit
yeah.
of everything.
Well, so I won't hear a negative word
You
about
get-
Bluey.
No, absolutely not. No, you get everything everywhere all at once, which ironically is something I have posted about a lot this year.
You'll
on
have to
Twitter,
take this away from him
Well
pretty soon.
Well played. Yeah, we're taking the mic away from him. But everyone listening, thanks for listening. Everyone watching for the first time,
Hi.
thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy this. Give us a follow on this YouTube. At this moment, the YouTube account hasn't been made. I'm gonna make it though, so I guess
Well, I mean,
subscribe.
we've already
oh,
been
we
to
can say
PAX,
like and
so,
subscribe.
like-
Oh yeah,
Wow.
don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends.
Hit the bell.
And don't hit the bell. The bell doesn't work
Help
half
me.
the time.
Help.
One
I'm trapped.
one thing in, he's like, don't hit the bell. Don't hit the bell.
Right, no, right, because it's actually like it's like
YouTube algorithm is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
exactly.
That's
And,
wild.
and also the thing is that if you say don't hit the bell, people are gonna hit the bell.
Is that why you're so mean to me?
Somebody-
Because you
yes.
actually like me a lot.
Don't
Thanks,
Somebody,
buddy.
somebody stop it.
don't
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Stay safe. Play some games. Bye.
Bye.
Very good.
terrible, guys. It's
Dumb podcast for babies.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.